All right, dear friend, I am excited and frenetic to be talking to my good friend Colin Plume from Noble Gold Investments right here. There it is. Make sure you have this link available, LionelNationGold.com and Noble Gold Investments at 877-646-5347. Remember, this tattoo it on your forehead. Prick your finger and write it in blood. I don't care. Don't forget. Colin, welcome back, my friend.
Lionel, how are you?
Finer than frog hair. What do you got in your hand there? What is that thing? Your
kilo. Yeah, if anybody saw my most recent TV commercial, this is the kilo bar. This is a kilo of gold. And I remember when I bought it, it was around 60,000, close to about 80,000 today, a little less than that. We had a little bit of a pullback in gold, but yeah, kilo of gold's pretty heavy. And
2.2 pounds.
Yeah, it's not bad, and the thing I talk about in the commercial is just, if you look at state schools, I mean, this could basically cover tuition.
Yes.
And I always talk about, how inflation and the dollar and gold and I think in 5 years it'll cover the cost of tuition, in 10 years, and probably past that. I don't know how many people are going to college, but this is keeps up with the test of time and the cost of goods.
I think most people, Colin, would say when you think kilo, you think of these bricks and you think of the I don't know what people think of. That's nothing. You can stick that in your sock drawer, and that's nothing.
Yeah, it's not that big. Yeah. I typically take this around, and it's not, and listen, if you got to get out of the country, you got a few of these, you put it in your bag, and you get out of there real quick. Cross over the border, and there you go. You're
well, let me tell you, before we get into it, I have, of course, I'm not in your league. Then again, who is? But I have the Trump silver. And I just do this. I show people this all the time. That just kills. This is the sound of this. It's a barkeep. I feel like I'm in the old West or something. There's something fun about tangible auditory. This you can almost smell it.
Yeah, we love it. Yeah, and I was just thinking about when I was talking about how you can get out of the country. Bob Menendez didn't listen. He did not listen to my words. He should have gotten out of the country a little bit sooner.
Or not have serialized bars from. In any event, we'll talk about that.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, you don't want to do what he did, but
no.
I think he thought he was going to be able to be liquid and get out of the country, but they caught up to him a little bit too quickly.
Well, Colin, let's talk right off the bat. Right now, with all that is going on with the changes regarding in the elections and Trump and Harris and Biden, and give us something that is happening right now, which is critical, that affects you, investments, Noble Gold, and gold itself. Make us smarter.
It looks like Trump's got a good. I thought Trump had a great chance. Now I think he's got pretty much a lock at this point. So then it's like, well, what's going to happen, like financially? I mean, obviously there's. People are talking about all the different things that can happen, but obviously the biggest thing for me is what's going on with the money, right? And so I look at some of the things that he's talked about, some of the things that he's done. So tariffs, he obviously wants to do tariffs with China. He wants to put tariffs on stuff between 60 and 80% on some goods. He wants to make our dollar. He doesn't say this indirectly, but to make our exports more desirable, the dollar would have to be a little bit lower. So tariffs can go a few different ways. I think the positive to creating tariffs is that we will create more jobs and it allows people to make more money for people that are making goods in this country. And I think we know now more than ever since COVID that not being able to make a lot of essential goods in this country is a real detriment. Mm-hmm. It creates us, it puts us in a position where we're dependent, and we were dependent. And obviously we couldn't get access to a lot of things that we needed. And so it's important to bring things back. And I think that's why he's focused on tariffs. And he's one of the few presidents that's actually tackled this issue. And independence is important. Like, look at last week with this CrowdStrike shutdown.
Yes.
That we had. I mean, we're all so dependent on these systems that are in place. And so having some independence, you couldn't do wires for Thursday, Friday. You couldn't
Right.
get on planes. I had somebody send me a very funny a meme about Friday morning bartenders, how much money they were making in the airports, just because people were stuck in the airports just constantly. And it was just like, and actually my friend took a picture of all the airport restaurants just packed. And we were like completely shut down. And to think that one company can do an update or send out something and it can shut down all these major institutions. I couldn't do wires Thursday, Friday. I couldn't, there's a lot of things that flights, people surgeries. I mean, so, we think a lot of this technology is great, but then when we have something like this happen, we realize that we're almost too dependent. So to go back to the original point of Trump's idea of tariffs is becoming more independent as a country. That's why he believes it's a better strategy, but it will make things more expensive. It will cause inflation. I mean, the good thing is that I'd rather pay more and pay someone here in the US than buy an item that is being made overseas. And that's, that's the question, what's going to be better? So that's one of the things that he's talked about. I think there's no doubt that he'll extend, where corporate tax is. He's talked about, people have been talking about lowering corporate tax from 20. Under the current administration, they were talking about increasing it to 40 or 50%. Under Trump, they probably keep it at 20. Maybe they go lower. Who knows? They're definitely going to open up the money supply. He's going to put pressure on the Fed to lower interest rates. So it's going to get things cheaper. Now, lowering interest rates will open up real estate. It'll open up other things, which will be good. The downside is if you do it too quick, and we've seen this, then inflation can go really rampant. So it is tricky when you look at these things, and the Fed's going to, try to be careful. But my gut is they'll put pressure for them to lower rates, which means everyone that's been sitting with money in the banks, that 4.5%, that goes bye-bye. That's not going to be around. The rates are going to go down probably to 2 in the banks or even lower. And so now it's, where are you going to put your money? Now you got to look at different things. And if inflation goes up a little bit because we try to open things up, where can you make a return to keep up with those things? So a lot of the policies that he's considering or looking to do could do a lot of stimulation. They do open things up. They will devalue the dollar. And so typically when you devalue the dollar, that's when, these things typically will perform much better. So that's some of the things that he's discussed.
Listen to that.
Yeah,
See,
this is a 100-ounce silver bar. That's a 100-ounce silver bar. Yeah, that's a big boy right there.
Wow.
Yeah, we this is a great buy, especially right now for people that are looking to get a lot of silver. We sell a lot of these. So yeah, so I think Lionel.
Excuse me, I've got to ask. Can I ask what that'll set you back?
This is like around $3,000. It's not too bad. I bought this right during the pandemic for like $1,600. So yeah, it's 2021. I bought this. So I think to keep in mind is every pro with a new administration also has things that you have to be able to react to. So things are not going to stay the same. So I think that you're looking at a return of a looser monetary policy. You're looking at a lower tax situation. And I think the dollar does lose value, but and that's benefit and a detriment to some. But I think money in the bank, for everyone that's been comfortable in the bank, I think be prepared for those rates to come down.
Now, can we talk about the actual gold issues itself? For example, there are more people, Colin, in my business who have talked about going off of the gold standard. When Nixon took us off the gold standard, the gold standard.
Yeah.
And I asked people, what is the gold standard? They said, I have no clue as to what the gold standard is, but we talk about all that about it all the time. What is the gold standard? What are rules or laws that are changing? And also sanctions regarding gold production and mining elsewhere. Give us an overview of that.
Yeah, so the gold standard would be that every dollar would have some gold behind it, and that's what we used to have. So instead of having the loose monetary policy where we can just create this unbelievable debt, when you have a gold standard, you can't. You have to back it by something, and that's how our country was created. Was that you could swap dollars for gold, and that was something that we had in place for a long time. And then the Federal Reserve was created, and then we went through the before the Great Depression, and there was this idea of like just having dollars out there, and then we completely went off the gold standard in 1971. That's when we completely abolished it, and now there's nothing backing our currency, and we don't have enough gold to back our currency right now, one for one. There's way too many dollars out there. The national debt today, every person is responsible for about $104,000, which that would never happen if we had the gold standard, because we wouldn't be able to do what we do now, which is just kick the can down the street. We'd have to have a system in place where we actually balance our checkbook, and we don't just continue to create more debt that we currently have.
Correct.
So in terms of what are the next steps, what's going to happen this year? Obviously, it's going to be a rocky year. Stock market's pretty close to an all-time high. You're seeing some issues happening. The top 7 big tech companies had a massive pullback, and they lost, trillions of dollars in a few days. They can gain it back, but a lot of the wealth that we're seeing in the stock market is typically tied to 6 or 7 companies. And if you take those companies out, stock market's actually pretty flat. It hasn't moved that much this year. So I think that it's going to be one of the most unique years. But anytime you have an election year, there is going to be some volatility this year. It's not going to be a straight shot. There is going to be a new president. Nobody knows exactly who that person is going to be, but there will be a new president, and they're going to try to make some shocking moves and do some things in their first 90, 120 days in office to really put a stamp on their presidency. And so I think you have to be careful when you're looking at things that you've done in the past, and you have to look at the future and really decide what could potentially happen with a new administration. So it's an unusual time. I can't remember any time in our history of this country that we've had so many things happen in such a short amount of time.
Now, what about as far as sanctions and gold production elsewhere in other countries? What's on the horizon regarding that?
So one of the things that could happen is we go into more sanctions, we do more tariffs. And some of the countries that we do this with are gold producers, which would limit our production of gold, which would obviously help the price. We're looking at gold prices in the $2,400 range, and Bank of America and a lot of these large organizations are looking at $4,000 or $5,000 production or costs for gold in the near future. And so it's a question of how quickly we can produce gold if we have a sanction type of situation. And so I think when we're looking at, whoever takes over in office, this is one of the things that you have to factor into it, is that they are going to make some massive fundamental changes. I think they do push the envelope when it comes to the Fed, which is going to change how our dollar is looked at and our strength. But the thing that concerns me more than anything would be inflation. I think that's the thing that most people think about all the time. I saw a picture of like a Happy Meal or like a regular Big Mac meal from 2008, which cost less than $5. And that same meal today costs like $18, $17 in a lot of places. So how do people afford how to buy these things? Just the overall food costs have gone up dramatically. So, and then it's kind of looking at, well, what's the next thing to happen? And I think that's next month we meet. My book will finally be out, which is called Silver is the New Oil. And I'll talk about why I think silver is the next incredible investment, And if you look at, and I believe that it has sort of what oil had 100 years ago with Rockefeller and a lot of these countries that created all this wealth, is I think that silver and a lot of the technology and everything that's behind it could potentially be the next real explosion in a metal. And I think there's some real interesting things happening in the markets. And I think that even some of these Middle East countries realize that the writing is on the wall for oil, and they're divesting into other things. That's why you're seeing Saudi Arabia and all of these countries, coming together with the BRIC nations. They're trying to create different investments. They're trying to create their own currency because they realize that the monopoly on oil and the money that they've created is going to start to dwindle. It's not going to be what it once was. And so what replaces that? And that's why I think silver is the next oil.
Stupid question. Where is most silver mined, and gold for that matter? Where is it? Is there still any to be found? Has it all been found? And how does one find it?
Yeah, Mexico is where most of the silver, the majority of the silver is mined. They do mine it in China. They do mine some in the United States. There has been some talk of them opening up more of the mining in the United States so we can have more here. And obviously it's a very profitable metal to mine, but there's a lot of environmental issues that, red tape, things like that happen. Gold is mined all over the world. A lot of African countries, they mine gold. Actually, there's an interesting thing that happened. The big jewelry manufacturers, there's a law that was just passed that they're no longer allowed to say recycled gold. And the reason is because when you say recycled in an advertising form, it means they're typically recycling an item that they wouldn't normally recycle. Mm-hmm. And so basically the lawsuit and the new ruling is that it doesn't make any sense to say recycled gold because of course they're going to recycle gold. Like it would make no sense. It's so, even in your cell phone, there's gold that people put, it's obvious. So they're changing some of the language there to make it, for people to understand that, like, of course, everything has some kind of recycled element. And of course, they're going to recycle one of the most valuable metals in the world. So I think they're mined all over the world in different places. And that's one of the things that I've talked about kind of earlier is that, like, if they're mining in a country that we have a problem with, we're going to slow down production, slow down, the imports of gold. China obviously owns a tremendous amount of gold mines all over the country, which gives them a very strong strategic advantage. China has done a great job of just really cornering the gold and silver market and also the rare metal market. Right. They've really continued to do that. And it just gives them a significant strategic advantage. So, I think, Lionel, what a lot of people are talking about today is, what should I be looking for the next 6 months? And then where should I be looking for the next 3 or 4 years? And I think this election and some of the things I talked about and some of these big financial moves that whoever's the next president can do can definitely affect how much money you and I and everyone make day to day and our inflation, our cost of goods. So it's important to look at these things and, make a determination what's best for yourself.
So what can we do? Somebody wants you right now, says you've whetted my appetite. You have absolutely, you've both terrified me and informed me. What can one do, and what can Noble Gold Investments do to help?
Yeah, so we have, you can contact us at Lionel Nation Gold. Go to our website, call us at 877-646-5347. We have guides coming out. You'll get on the list for the new silvers, the new oil book, which will be out in a few weeks. Which I'll be talking about in more detail next time I talk to you. And then we also have a master class with Kevin Sorbo, who was famously Hercules.
Yes.
Who is a brand ambassador of Noble Gold, a friend. And, unbeknownst to me, because we became friends in the last few years, has been buying gold and silver since the early 80s, has been someone that's always diversified into alternative assets, business owner, really, really thoughtful thinker. And so he's become an ambassador and put together, we have a master class that we put together, and it's like less than 40 minutes of videos just talking about the economy and things that are happening and tips and tricks. So that's also available. If you go to our website, we can send that out to you.
So again, LionelNationGold.com, or you can call 877-646-5347. Every time we speak, I am just wowed and just amazed, literally, as we say, by virtue of what you know, and because you're immersed in this. This is what you do every single day. This is
Yeah.
your life. It's your bread and
Yeah.
butter. It's your blood.
Yeah, it's a niche business, right? I mean, it's not everybody's doing this.
No.
And the media, most mainstream media, they are going to push you into mutual funds or the big custodians or all these like fractional investments. None of that is what we do. So it's not as sexy or as some of those other investments out there, because they've made them in a way that feels so good. But I think when people realize that you're buying this item, you're going to own it by yourself, and they do the math and they go, oh, wait a minute, I don't have to pay. I'm not paying an annual fee for Noble Gold to do anything. And and this is a market, and anyone will buy these items. And, I have a wide open market, and there's people want to buy these things. I'm in control of them. It's not a fund, and it's not leveraged. Right. So it's old school, but really in high demand. And I think people that look at our reviews and see what people are saying, they're going to be quite pleased. And I can tell you this, that a lot of people this year with the run of gold, people bought from me 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago that, needed money, and they're very happy that they got into the physical item that they own. And they're quite pleased with the returns and also the service, because it is a unique item, unlike a lot of the other things that are out there.
Well, I will tell you this: what everybody has told me, and what your reputation is, probably the most important thing: your customer service, your contact with people, because this can be daunting. This can be a lot of times. A lot of people say, "I don't know what the hell I'm doing," but if for some reason it's so obvious, like you're buying gold. Anyway, but still, with that in mind, your service is perfect. The reviews are off the charts. And you've been doing this, and I know for a fact, and I think that's one of the many reasons why Noble Gold Investments is so different than anybody else. Customer service, the way you listen to people, it's not high pressure. It's
Sure.
It's fun. It should be fun. This isn't surgery, for God's sake.
And it's not AI. It's a real person. You're going to talk to a real person over here, which I think is also, and the way things are going today, people don't realize they might be getting a phone call or text message from a computer. You're not going to get that from Noble Gold. You're going to talk to a real person. And I think people like that. And I think that's going to be true for now and forever.
Well, Colin Plume, thank you so much. Colin Plume from Noble Gold Investments. Go to LionelNationGold.com. You will have in the description here. Look at that. Look at this. Look at this. And I've got mine here. One more time. That's all I got to say. If you drop that, you'll break. Look at that. We'll just drop things because we're manly men.
Drop the mic.
Another
drop
one.
The mic. Yeah.
I'm going to throw this up and shoot it. And anyway, Colin, always a pleasure, my friend. Thank you so much. You're aces. You're a great guy. And I don't just tell anybody that because, frankly, I don't like anybody. But you are the exception. Thank you so much. Have a great day, sir.
You too.